Hi, my name is Amy, and this is my testimony. I was born into a world of extreme violence um, and drug use, abuse on all kinds of levels. My biological father has tried killing me since the moment I was conceived, and I remember when my mom tried to get away, she did everything she could to get away, to the point where he would physically attack us over and over again, to the point where he even caved part of her head in. Eventually, he went to prison, and my mom took me and my brothers and sisters and ran as far as she could. She met my stepdad, and they traveled through all kinds of states. They eventually came to Springfield, Missouri, so my stepdad and his buddies could start cooking meth and have meth labs. And that was the way it was through my whole childhood, basically. I don't remember hardly any happy moments. Extreme violence, anger that came with that life. I've watched people destroy themselves on drugs and alcohol, sacrificed everything they had. As I got older, things got worse. As I started developing into a woman, constantly fighting off my dad's buddies' years of sexual abuse. And I was angry, and I started fighting back. And the only way I knew how to fight back was to weaponize my trauma and fight tooth and nail to protect my siblings and myself. And so often, I don't remember a time when it wasn't chaotic. A little while after that, it followed me all my life. The violence, the abuse, the psychological warfare. Even as I got to be a teenager, I had no idea what a real relationship was. Even since I can remember, everybody tried to I was numb inside. And so they forced me to take drugs to feel something. So it wasn't even the fact that I was trying to hide the pain. It wasn't the fact that I wanted to feel better. It was just, I felt nothing, emptiness. And as I got older, that's just the life I knew. Moving forward, eventually, I got pregnant with my daughter, and it was a miracle I had her because I had so much internal damage. God blessed me with her. And even after that, I had to have 2 medical D&Cs done because of the damage done. It would have killed me and the baby. And I remember being so angry with God about that. But he blessed me. I got to adopt and raise 2 little boys with my daughter for so many years. And I swore I would never raise my kids in that environment. And I didn't. I stuck myself through schooling, step by step, getting certifications in nursing field. And it was hard to teach my kids the proper morals, beliefs, to I always made sure they had everything they needed. But I wasn't okay. The psychological damage and the emotional damage that was done was beyond compared. But God blessed my children, because when they got old enough, they have good morals, they have good beliefs, they are so blessed, and every choice that they make is such a beautiful blessing, and they have a strong faith in God. My sons do. My daughter has a heart of gold, and they've got beautiful families now. So, but for me, when they grew up and they moved out, I had no longer knew what to do, and I was lost. And the only thing I knew to do to feel I had to fix me, and I didn't know how. So I once again, after about 14 years of sobriety, roughly, I went back to drinking, which led into hardcore drugs. That my children's dad, I was with him for 13 years, and things came to a head with him. I had the kids in the house, and he had his friends and his partying. And I don't know what happened. One day he came home, and he was suffering from the worst case of meth-induced psychosis I've ever seen. And I did everything I could to help him, but ended up losing the house and the car, my job, and ended up in another very violent situation and became homeless. And I was searching. I was searching for answers. I was searching for something that would give me purpose. I was searching to make the anger go away in my heart. Well, I was eventually, did not know it at the time, until about a year in, I was sold into human trafficking. And that went roughly for about 4 or 5 years. And once again, I fought back. And God brought me through that. I eventually started getting some criminal charges racked up. And things came to a head when my daughter lost our first grandbaby. And she was so mad at me because I was too high and too drunk I tried my best, but I couldn't comfort her. And she told me that I would never have nothing to do with her or her kids if I couldn't get help. And at that point in time, my criminal charges racked up I thought she was talking about, my criminal stuff. And I was okay with going to DOC in prison. It didn't bother me one little bit. And she knew that. And so she said if I didn't get real help and find a way to deal with my trauma, she wouldn't have nothing else to do with me. And so I turned myself in. And my probation officer at the time wanted me to come to higher ground. And I didn't want to. I fought and kicked. I didn't think that this place had anything for me until I found out it was faith-based. And I knew that I had to at least try, because I knew the only thing that was going to save me was God. Not just with the addictions, but with the anger in my heart and the voices in my head from all the psychological games and warfare. And then little did I know how God was guiding me through everything and had stuck me here for a purpose. When I came here, oh my goodness, when I came here, I listened. I listened because I wanted to know God. I wanted answers. I was trying to figure out how God was going to save me, or how the program was going to help me in any way, shape, and form. So I just observed everything and applied what they taught me. But the biggest difference that made for me is when they started talking about the love of God. Made me start thinking, like, the only love I've ever known really is the love of my children, And it was so hard for me to grasp my head around the love of God. And I remember I was in the women's recovery house, and I was sitting there listening to some music, some praise and worship music, because I found a song I liked. Still trying to adjust to learning everything. And I cried out to God. I said, God, I don't get this. Why am I here? Why, if you're real, I need help. And I remember sitting at a big picture window that's over at the recovery house, looking outside and just talking to God. And I'm like, I don't understand your love, God. And in my voice, I heard, you'll never be able to imagine my love, for it is so great. And at that moment, I had a personal encounter with God. And this huge wave of love and peace that I've never known completely filled me inside and out. And I thought, words can't describe it. Words cannot describe something so powerful. God made himself real to me. He made himself known to me. And he showed me that there is love and peace that I can't even imagine. And from that moment forward, I started crying out to God more and more. And the more I did, the more he brought me peace and understanding and love. And he brought me to my salvation in Christ. And the idea that Jesus, who was pure innocent, was brutally suffered because he loved me so much. Changed my life. Changed my life. Not just the tools that Higher Ground taught me and the love that God showed me. I've never had peace like I do now, and love in my heart like I do now. And now I'm in a position where I am one of the house leaders, and I get to help others, on a day-to-day living, and just simply love on them and point them to God and support them while they're on their recovery journeys. And now I see God's purpose for me. My relationship with my kids have been restored. And every day is an adventure and a blessing. And I could not go back to the darkness. And I know now that the only scars that do matter are the ones that are on Jesus's hands and feet. And I did my testimony, and I pray that I was able to instill hope in others. Because I wasn't okay. And I was okay with that. I was lost in the hatred, in the darkness, in the violence. And now I have nothing but love that surrounds me. a wonderful support system with the Higher Ground staff and my church family. There's always a light. And if you cry out to God and you hold on to it, He will answer and you will be found. Thank you.